G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be on making the rear tubs in the back of this car. And the last video I showed a few things that I've already made on this car, and also we were making the infill panel here, which is the transition between the roof and the tray. So that's a little panel that I was making to fill in this gap and set to kind of the original design that was there. So what I'll be doing now is continuing on in this build is the rear tub. So the curvature of the edge of this tub for the build is actually the same curvature that is on the back of the rear quarters and the bottom of the rear panel as well. So everything sort of matches and ties in on this build, which is pretty cool. And it's nice to have things match through builds. And if I was doing like a muscle car or something like that, I would have a little more curve to that tub, or you know, just depending on what the build is and what's appropriate for how much curve and what sort of diameter you want on that edge. But for this, this is what I went for and what the customer wanted. So it's a nice, simple little design, and something which is pretty easy to knock together. So we'll continue in on this and on the video and show you guys how I did these tubs here in the rear. So if you've been thinking about making something, this is something easy to do on any project that you got, whether a shop's building it or you're building it yourself. So it's a nice little simple thing. Enjoy, and hope you like this video and tune in on some of the other videos. I've taken the whole rear of the car off. It all comes off in one piece. It is running a false tailgate welded in. I've got some video footage of that, but the transfer on a few of the videos isn't working. So I'll see if I can put that together and get it to work out so I can get a video for the tailgate. If not, sorry, there's a video there that won't happen. But yeah, so the tubs, I'm going to put a little bit of a roll on the edge. I've made these dies already for the hammer for that I did in the rear of this car. So that shape's pretty good. When you're making a tub, you don't want flat sheet to come straight up to this edge and have a sharp corner, because it doesn't really look that cool. So it's nice to have a little bit of style to it and have a little bit of a roll. So we'll work on getting this edge rolled over and get into it. It's looking good with that rolled edge on it already. A lot better than having a sharp edge. So we'll continue shape up the other side and have a look at fitting this into the car. So the tubs are tacked in place. I've got a little bit of extra material here on the back side of this panel here. I'm going to fold that up and do a weld through here because I don't want to go all the way to the rear quarter lip. Otherwise, if I do that, I'm going to have to do a big weld all the way through here, and that's going to pull a lot of material here and distort this tub, and I don't want that. Want it to be clean. So little lip there, a lip around here, a bit of extra material down here, so I can weld up to the inner frame that's underneath this sheet metal. And that'll sort of finish up that whole tub structure. And when I was doing this rolled edge here, you can't just put that straight into that tool that was on the hammer, because it doesn't open up enough to close down on that and turn that lip. So I ran it through the bead roller in a few different areas and sort of just started with a light amount of tension on the bead. Just started bringing that lip around in a few areas. And then when I ran it through the hammer, it just smoothed out those lines nicely. That was there from the tipping the edge on the bead roller. So after the hammering, that rolls really nice. This is tacked in, so we'll keep moving, put some lips on this thing, and some blanks to weld up in here. The flanges on this are turned now. I've turned this back edge so that'll make a nice spot weld onto this panel here. And I have used these panels left hand to right hand. They are exactly the same. So they are the templates. So the sweep of both of these are in the same shape. It is a little bit of a teardrop shape because that matches in with the mud guards that are going to be on this car. Now, the way I've shaped this was the quickest and best way for me to do it. There is plenty of ways to achieve this same sort of thing. You can use something like that and just hammer over, take your time, hammer over it and put a bit of curvature into that and shrink your edge, or you could clamp a bit of bar to the table and bring your sheet up and get an initial roll on that and then shrink your edge. So there is plenty of ways to do this kind of job. This is just how I do it. Now I have cut these blanks here, so these blanks will go in. I've left a little bit of extra material for me to be able to clamp this on here, scribe a line, and get this. So this part will weld to the frame that's on the car, and the rest of it will weld into that sheet metal. So we'll continue on and get this welded in now, and these tubs will pretty much be complete. These tubs are welded in now. Gonna have to hammer along here and hammer up this weld so it can come flat again. One thing you're always going to get when you're welding is shrink back. So there's shrinkage in here. That weld needs to be hammered for this to come back into shape. Now, one good thing this morning, I happened to get this tool this morning. Nice Planishing hammer. So I saw this online, they're actually pretty cheap. It was like 500 bucks. And this can actually come off the frame, be used on the vehicle as well, and hammer on the vehicle too. So unbox this, put it together, and this would be a nice little test to see how this hammer works, hammering out this weld and bringing that shape back into the panel, stretching it back out from the shrinkage you get from the weld. So test it out, see how it goes. Just tested out this little Planishing hammer here, and actually pretty impressed for a cheap, affordable tool. Like, that thing was 500 bucks. And obviously when you weld these, I'll show you an example. I just hammered this weld out in here, and if you look at this tub, this is the shrink back. This is the shrink back that you have prior to doing any of this stuff here. So if you look at that, that's a huge gap there. That's all the shrink back that you get from the heat of the weld here. Now, this one here that I've hammered out, so that there, that's nice and flat all the way through. So that made really quick work of this sort of thing. So you can run through. You can do this by hand with a dolly and hammer, hammer that out, flip it over, hammer it a bit on the back, and that's how you hammer that out and get that stretch out. But that just made it pretty fast actually to hammer out a weld, so pretty impressed with that little thing. Next thing would be just got to hammer out that side and then sand back these welds on the tubs, and then just give it a little wash over on this hammer and finish it up nicely and get into these last couple bits, and we're done with these tubs. It's good stuff. All right, that's the infill panel done. They are hammered up and welded, so that's the finish there. It looks pretty good. When I DA sand this sort of thing, I like to run some tape pretty evenly along here, so when it is sanded back pretty even, and just gives it a nice look, a nice sort of finish to finish off that kind of thing. So they're done. Now just got to fold up these ends. I've got to cut a little bit off here. I'm going to fold those so they can pop up in there, and we're done and out of this thing. So moving on to doing some other parts similar to what's going on here, but lower section. So the bottom half of the tray from any water spraying up will be finished too. So that's these tubs pretty much done. these tubs are complete. I have put a couple little videos of it inside in the tray there in this area, so really nice to see them in there, and they fit good. Where I've got these little lips, that'll make for a nice weld with minimal distortion onto these panels. So if you guys are looking into doing something like this and chucking wider wheels in your car, these sort of basic tubs is a pretty good little option. This will be a bit of a kind of daily driver sort of thing, this, so these aren't real crazy, but these are an easy, simple little tub to be making. So get stuck into it, and if you're thinking about doing it, definitely go for it. There's a nice little simple design. Next thing would be extending further down, extending these tubs underneath the tray, just to get minimal splashback in other areas. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.